Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Maria Naveed, and I welcome you to my class of services marketing. Today, we are going to start a chapter. The name of the chapter is Distributing Services Through Physical and Electronic Channels. I hope every one of you can see the slides as well. The topic is distributing services through physical and electronic channels. Before going further, I would like to give some learning objectives that after going through this chapter, this class would be knowing the four questions that form the foundation of any service distribution strategy, like what is distributed, how it is distributed, where it is distributed, and when it is distributed. We need to know after learning this that what is being distributed, given the non ownership and experiential nature of many services. We may describe the three interrelated flows that show what is being distributed. We would be familiar with how services can be distributed using three main options and understand the importance of distinguishing between core and supplementary services. What, how, where, when. Responses to these four questions form the foundation of any service distribution strategy. Like the products, services are also distributed and they need to have a proper strategy. The seven P's of the marketing needs to be properly mixed in order to distribute the right service to the right target market. They determine the customer's service experience, which is a function of how the different elements of the flower of service that we all know consist of complementary services and supplementary services are distributed and delivered through physical and electronic channels. What determines what exactly will flow through the distribution channel, like information, negotiation, and the core and other supplementary services. Distribution strategy needs to cover for each of these flows the remaining three questions of how, where, and when. Distribution is exactly as important in services as it is in product manufacturing companies because distribution has to be done according to the right segmentation and targeting. The next is what is being distributed. This is something that we need to focus at. Many people will likely think of moving boxes through physical channels to distributors and retailers for sale to end user. Something which is like a very obvious thinking that when we talk about distribution, we talk about or we think about the physical things that are, carried from one place to another. In services, though, often there is nothing to move. In services, we cannot move a service because it is somehow experiential. It is somehow, thought to be intangible. Uh, in services, though, nothing is moved but experiences, performances, solutions. These are something which are being distributed. Meanwhile, informational transactions are increasingly conducted via electronic channels. How then does distribution work in service context? That's the question. In a typical service sales cycle, distribution embraces three interrelated flows which partially address the question of what is being distributed. The first part is information and promotion flow. Distribution of information and promotion materials relating to the service offer. We need to distribute the information which is immensely important to distribute, to tell about the service and the promotion of the material which is important to market the service. In that regard, the objective is to get the customer interested in buying the service. Then it comes the negotiation flow. It reaches an agreement on the service features and configurations and the terms of the offer so that a purchase contract can be closed. The objective is often to sell the right to use a service. Example, sell a reservation or a ticket. We always, we need to have a negotiation, a flow which is attached to that. And then it comes the product flow. When we talk about the product flow, we talk about the many services, especially those involving people processing or possession processing, require physical facilities for delivery. Here, distribution strategy requires, development of a network of local sites. For information processing services such as internet banking and distance learning, the product flow can be via electronic channels or employing one or more centralized sites. So this is something which are the interrelated flows. We need to have an information, we need to promote, we need to negotiate, and we need to have the products attached with the services to make them more enhanced. The next we have distinguishing between distribution of supplementary and core services. Distinguishing, when we talk about the distinguishing between distribution of supplementary and core services, we need to have the flow perspective of what is being distributed. That can relate to the core service as well as to supplementary services that can be mapped back to the flower of the service. When we distinguish between the core and the supplementary services, it is important that as many core services require a physical location, which severely restricts the distribution. For instance, we can consume the kind of holidays at some places. We need to go to Bari Bourbon to avail that facility. That cannot be distributed, but we need to go to avail that particular kind of a service that we can only get by going on to that particular place. However, many of the supplementary services can be distributed widely and cost effectively via other means. That is information flow relates to the information and possibly consultation patterns. Negotiation flows is present in order taking and potentially billing and payment patterns. In our example, like Murray Bourbon, customers can get information and consultation from a travel agent or either face to face or online by phone or by email, and then by making a booking through one of these same channels. And similarly, you can purchase the theater tickets through an agency without the need for an advance trip to the physical facility itself. Example, we have gone through the example. Moving further, we have how should the services be distributed. Now the question arises that how should be the services be distributed. A key question is a key question is that how should does the service or the firm's positioning strategy requires customers to be in direct physical contact with its personal or equipment or facilities? That's a question, that how the services should be distributed. This is a very key question, that does the service or the firm's positioning strategy, positioning means that how they are going to take the position in the mind of the customer. Does it require the customers to be in the direct physical contact with its personal equipment or facilities? If so, do the customers have to visit the facility of the service organization, or will the service organization send personals and equipment to customers' own sites? This is something that is needed by the company to decide and to think that how they are going to basically position their strategy to distribute, how they are going to reach the customer. whether customer would come to them, whether they would go to the customer, or whether they're going to remotely, access the customer and give the information or stuff like that. But it certainly depends upon the nature of the particular, the particular organization, that how they are going to cater it in the entire terms. So, in that regard, if so, customers have to visit the facility of the service organization, or will the service organization send personnel and equipment to the customer's own sites? Alternatively, can transactions between provider and customers be completed at arm length through the use of either telecommunications, or physical channels of distribution? So these are the possibilities. As I go by the slides, I would go by the slides like this is unavoidable for people processing services, but may be necessary for other categories. In this case, customers may visit the site and get the service. The three possible options that I told you are: customers goes to the service organization, or service organizations comes to the customer, or customer and service organization transact remotely. How they are going to consider this and do this, this is the entire decision on the part of the organization. Next, we have determinants of the customer channel's preferences. Recent research has explored how customers choose among personal, impersonal, and self service channels, and has identified the following key drivers. Before I go further, I would like to discuss over here these things, that the three possibilities. I would like to, give you a little detail. So please kindly note it. When I talk about customers visit the service organization, when customers have to visit the service site, the key factors that they need to consider include the cost, customer catchment areas, and the convenience of the service outlet locations for the customer. It elaborates statistical analysis, including retail gravity models, and are used to help firms make decisions on where to locate the supermarkets or similar large stores relative to the homes and the workplaces of the future customers. The next, we have the service organizations, come to their customers. For some types of services, the service provider visits the customers. They, like Ghar is one of the service that is the customer to give them the service at their homes. Um, Going to the customer site is unavoidable whenever the object of the service is some immovable physical item. In this regard, we need to be very careful that when service organizations come to the customer, what is being needed, and essentially to cater the customers. Then, when we talk about that, the service transaction, customer and service organization transact remotely. When we talk about the service transaction is conducted remotely, we need to, the developments in the telecommunications, online technology, and sophisticated logistic solutions have spurred many new approaches to the service delivery. A customer may never see the service facility or meet service personnel face to face when dealing with the service firm through remote transactions. Service encounters with service personnel are more likely via a customer contact a center, mail or email, chat, or Twitter. And should physical products, documents, or other tangibles need to reach a customer, logistic providers offer service firms integrated, reliable, and cost effective solutions. Examples of the service transactions are at arm length, are as follows. Somehow the other, repair services for small pieces of equipment sometimes require customers to ship the product to the maintenance facility where they are not if they are not willing to go. What they can do is they can ship the product to the maintenance facility where it is serviced and then returned by mail with the option of paying extra for express shipment. Many service providers offer solutions with the help of integrated logistic firms such as FedEx, TNT, or UPS. These solutions range from storage and express delivery of spare parts for aircrafts, B2B delivery, to the pickup of defective cell phones from customers' homes and return the prepared phones to the customer, B2C pickup and delivery, also called, it's usually known as the reverse logistic. I would suggest the notes that you have already with you in the form of printouts and in the form of photocopies, you need to open this, see the slides, and listen to my lecture very carefully so that you understand the entire concept of this. Now, the things which are there to understand are that we need to understand that what are the determinants of the customer's channel's preference. What customers really preference in the entire process of getting the know-how of which channel to choose. The recent researchers has explored that how customers choose among personal, impersonal, and self-service channels and has identified the following key drivers. For complex and perceived high risk services, people tend to rely on personal channels. For example, customers are happy to apply for credit cards using remote channels but prefer a face to face transactions when obtaining a mortgage. Then, individuals with higher confidence and knowledge about a service or a channel are more likely to use impersonal and self service channels. Individuals who have got the higher confidence and they've got the knowledge and they've got something, they are easy to use self service channels like ATMs, like internet banking, and this thing. So the preference of the channel certainly depend upon the learning capacity of the customer, that how they have learned about the certain channel and how and where they feel easy to use that particular channel. Customers who look for the functional aspects of a transaction prefer more convenience. This often means the use of impersonal and self service channels. Customers with social motives tend to use personal channels, and the convenience is a key driver of the channel choice. Convenience, why we call the convenience is the key driver of the channel choice for the majority of the consumers, because service convenience means saving time and the effort rather than the money. When we talk about the channel preferences, I would be adding some things over here. The use of different channels to deliver the same service not only has vastly different cost implications for a service organization, but it also drastically affects the nature of the service experience for the customer. I gave you the example of the banking service, for instance. It can be delivered remotely through the computer, mobile phone, or a voice response system, or a call center, or ATMs, or face to face in a branch, or through direct visit to a wealthy customer's home in the case of private banking. Although electronic self-service channels tend to be the most cost effective, not all customers like to use them, but this means that if we want to migrate customers to a new electronic channels, we require different strategies for different segments. We also need to recognize that some proportion of the customers will never voluntarily change from their preferred high contact delivery environments. An alternative that appeal to many people, perhaps because it uses a familiar technology and is conducting banking, and other perhaps because it uses a familiar aspects. However, automated phone services can be another matter. How do you feel about voicemail transactions with companies sometimes having lengthy messages, promoting other services, trying to drive you to their websites? However, if you will still persist, continue being on the line, the system asks you to press 1 for some service or press 2 for some other service. Recent researchers have explored how customers choose among the personal, impersonal, or self-service channels, and has identified the key drivers. For example, for complex and perceived high risk services, people tend to rely on personal channels. For example, customers are happy to apply for credit cards using remote channels, as I told you, and they like to go for the face to face transaction with the mortgage is concerned, because one is really high ended and the other is not. Moving further, we have got the channel integration. Channel integration means that the channels need to be integrated, they need to speak the one voice, singly or in combination. Electronic channels offer a complement or alternative to traditional physical channels for delivering information based services. However, channel integration is key for successfully delivering through multiple channels, as customers are using more devices while still using traditional channels. It is important for service organizations to deliver a seamless and consistent user experience across the channels. New delivery channels have created an inconsistent and frequently disjointed experience for many customers. Finally, service providers have to be careful when channels are priced differently. Increasingly, customers take advantage of price variations among the channels and markets a strategy which we call as the channel arbitrage. What we call the channel arbitrage. For example, customers can ask the expensive full service broker for advice. They can ask for the brokers to the advice. They can take the advice and conduct the bulk of their trades with the low price discount broker. Service providers need to develop effective pricing strategies that will enable them to deliver value and capture it through the appropriate channel. The appropriate channel is the one channel which actually attracts the customer's attention. Then we have where should a service facility be located? This is one of the very important points. Unless a service is delivered remotely, unless a service is delivered remotely where no physical contact is there, location decisions for physical sites have to be made. A physical site location requires a sizable investment and a long term commitment. Due to its fixed nature, as a result of long leases and high investments into a site, a firm cannot easily move to another site or convert to another format. Even if sunk costs are written off, sunk costs means which are just gone, which are just bad debts kind of things. Moving to another location causes the problem of a proportion of loyal customers and employees being lost. The farther the distance between the new and the old locations, the bigger the loss is. So it is somehow the other a very big strategic kind of a decision that the companies has to they have to make. They need to figure out that where they need to distribute and how they need to distribute. They need to see where their customers are actually existing, and there they need to focus on the distribution channel. How then should service managers make decisions on the places where services are delivered? Frequently, a two-step approach is used. Number one is strategic location considerations, which are developed to help identify the general type of location a service firm should aim for. I would go by it again. Frequently, a two step approach is used. Number one, strategic location consideration are developed to help identify the general types of location a service should aim for. The second is the tactical consideration. I would be going by it in a detail in the later details. Second, tactical considerations which are used to choose between specific sites of a similar type that fits the overall location strategy. If that applies only to the certain consumption situations, such as the occasional pizza TV dinner at home for home delivery, the segments that are willing to travel and spend time for a lowest price. I would first be going by the strategic location considerations, which involve as the site location is an integral part of the overall service strategy. The location strategy must be consistent with the firm's marketing strategy. What is the marketing strategy? Because we know about the marketing is all about developing the long-term profitable relationship with the customer, and the strategy is how to actually connect with the customers and the need and expectation of its target customers. The site location is an integral part. I must say once again, the site location is an integral part of the overall service strategy. It must be at a location that is consistent with its marketing strategy and the target segments for an extended period of time. To develop a location strategy, to develop a location strategy, start by understanding customer needs, their expectations, competitive activity, and the nature of the service operations. As we noted earlier, the distribution strategies used for some of the supplementary service elements may differ from those used to deliver the core products itself, because supplementary services are those services where we can make the difference. For instance, as a customer, you are probably willing to go to a particular location at a specific time to attend a sporting or entertainment event, but you probably want greater flexibility and convenience when reserving a seat in advance. So you may expect the reservation service to be open for extended hours, to offer bookings and credit card payments by phone and internet, and to deliver tickets through the postal or electronic channels. Likewise, firms should make it easy for people to access frequently purchased services, especially those that face active competition. Examples include the retail banks and the fast food restaurants. However, customers may be willing to travel further from their homes or workplaces to reach specialty services. In general, firms have to trade off, compromise between ease of access and convenience for their customers versus the cost of providing that access and convenience. Markets can be often segmented by accessibility, preferences, and price sensitivity. There will always be the segments that are willing to pay premium for ease of success and convenience. And if that applies only to certain consumption situations, such as the occasional pizza TV dinners at home for home delivery services, and segments that are willing to travel and spend for a lower price. Then there's another consideration where the location is concerned, which is a tactical location, consideration. In the second step for selecting a specific site, a key factor that need to be considered include population size. Population size and characteristics that assess the density and number of target customers that could be served with the site. Pedestrians and vehiculars, pedestrians who walk on the pavement and vehiculars who have got the vehicles, and its characteristics to assess the number of target customers passing a site that could be saved with this outlet. You need to check out who are the walk-ins who are going by the site. Convenience of the access for customers, kind of example, public transport, availability of parking. Number four is competitors in this area. Then the nature of nearby businesses and stores, availability of labor. So the tactical location consideration actually marks everything which is in the vicinity of the store that we want to give the service at. Availability of site location, rental costs, contractual conditions, length of lease, and regulations. These all things matter. Elaborate statistical analysis and models are used to help make firms make decisions on where to locate supermarkets or similar stores relative to the homes and the workplaces of future customers. Geographic systems, geographical information system tools combine maps with key location data, including population demographics, purchase data, and listing of current and proposed competitor locations. Mapping software can be accessed or leased for as little as $100 maybe, to several thousands of dollars. And this is somehow that we need to check out the tactical part or the check tactical location consideration that we need to consider, the things that we need to consider before choosing the locality to distribute. Then it comes the locational constraints. When we talk about the locational constraints, although customer convenience is important, the need for economies of scales, what we call economy of scales are cost advantages reaped by the companies when production becomes efficient. For example, because of high fixed costs, such as specialized medicine facilities and operational requirements, locational constraints are there. For example, if we need to provide a big hospital to the target market, we need to ignore the fact that there is a small that's a constraint of the locality, because where there's a place only there we can build a hospital which is of a greater space and a bigger space. Although customer convenience is important, the need for economies of scale and operational requirements may restrict the choice of location. Major hospitals offer many different healthcare services at a single location, requiring a very large facility. Customers requiring complex inpatient treatment must go to the service factory rather being treated at home. However, an ambulance or even a helicopter can be sent to pick the patients if they're in the serious conditions, even at the local constraints as well. They can be sent to pick them up. Medical specialists, opposed to general practitioners, often find it convenient to locate their offices to hospital because it saves them time when they need to treat their patients. Airports are, for instance, are often inconveniently located relative to the travelers' homes, offices, or destination because of noise and environmental factors that finding suitable sites for construction of new airports or expansion of existing one is a very difficult task. A governor of one of the Massachusetts was once asked what would be an acceptable location for a second airport to serve Boston. He thought for a moment and then responded, one way to make airport access more convenient is to install fast rail links such as San Francisco service, New Delhi Airport Express line, or London Heathrow Express. We need to be very careful when we are deciding the locality for providing the services. The next we have is the innovative location strategies. The innovation location strategies can be at the core of the powerful service models. We highlight mini stores and related location strategies and locating in multi-purpose facilities in the following section. What these strategies have in common in that accessibility is a key component of these services value propositions. When we talk about, let's talk about mini stores. You can see that in your notes or in front of you. I have added it over here. So what basically are the innovative location strategies? We have got some mini stores around us. An interesting innovation among multi site service businesses involves creating numerous small service factories to maximize geographic coverage. For example, automated kiosks are one example. ATM offer many of the functions of a bank branch within a self-service machine that can be located within the stores or in the hospitals or in the colleges or at the airport and office buildings. So where you have forgotten to bring the money with you, you can easily avail these. Automated vending machines for stamps purchase and payment of bill is another example that we can take as an innovative location strategies. Another approach results from separating the front and the back stage of the operation is Taco Bell. Innovative K minus strategy involves restaurants without kitchens. Food preparation takes place in a central location. The meals are then shipped to the restaurants, which can now devote more of their expensive floor area to the customer use and to other points of access, such as mobile food cart, where the food can be reheated before serving. Increasingly, firms offering one type of service businesses are purchasing space from another provider in a complementary field. Perhaps you have noticed small bank branches inside supermarkets and food outlets such as Dunkin' Donuts and Subways sharing space with a fast food restaurant such as a Burger King. But over here, the question also arises. This is not included in the slide, but this is somehow a question that arises in my mind that locating in multi-purpose facility is also one of the good options. The most obvious location for consumer services are close to where customers live or work. Modern buildings are often designed to multi-purpose, featuring not only office or production space but also service as a bank or leased and ATM or a restaurant or hair salon. Next, we have the role of intermediaries. This topic is one of the important topics of this particular chapter. That who are intermediaries? The intermediaries are those people who connect the market. Service firms often, frequently use intermediaries to distribute some of the supplementary services. For example, cruise lines still are use travel agencies to provide information, take reservations, collect payments, and often bundle of complementary services such as air travels. This is somehow the last topic for this particular chapter, because by this chapter you people have understood. I would be summarizing some key concepts of this chapter, of this topic that we have done. Today we have done what, how, where, when responses to these four questions from the foundation of the service distribution strategy. We have done what is distributed. The flow model of distribution can be mapped onto the flower of service concept and includes the following flows of service distribution. Information and promotion flows includes the information and potentially consultation patterns. Negotiation flow includes the order taking and potentially consultation petals. Then it's the negotiation flow that includes the order taking and potentially also billing. Product flow is including the core products and the remaining petals of the flower of service. The service distribution strategy encompasses all the three flows, because if one of them is missing, the product would not reach the right target market and not at the right time. The next thing that we cover is how the services can be distributed. So it is very simple to understand that services can be distributed through three main modes. Number one is customer visit, number two is customer provider, and number three is service transaction. Some cross service include or require a physical location, which severely restricts their distribution. However, information-based and core services and are many who can, and many supplementary services can be distributed and delivered remotely. This is something we have done in today's lecture, and then we have done that the development and the telecommunication, online technology, service apps, and other sophisticated logistics solutions have spurred innovation in most common manner. All information based supplementary services and information based core products and many possession based services can be delivered remotely. Key drivers of the growth of service delivery via cyberspace are convenience, our ease of search, a broad selection, potential for lower prices, and service with the prompt delivery. So this is how the customers basically prefer the drive channels. The driving channel choice, customers often prefer remote channels because of their convenience when they have high confidence and knowledge about the product and the technology IV. Then we have customers that are likely to use different service channels with the same service organization. Example, bank customers use the gamut of channels ranging from mobile apps to websites to ATMs and bank branches and the bank branches. To deliver consistent and seamless service experiences, channel integration is the key. This is something that we need to keep always in our minds. Class, this is all about the lecture that I had to deliver in this particular half. I am going to deliver my the remaining part of the lecture in the next slides. I hope that you people have understood that what distribution of the is all about, how we distribute the service, and what are the basic flow of service, and what are the basic hierarchy of the fees and the banking part. So I hope that you people have understood. I will be conducting the interactive session soon on it. Till then, take care and Allah Hafiz.